How do you handle an overly friendly neighbor who tends to ask an abundance of personal questions whenever you both happen to be outside at the same time? You don't need to worry about being polite and following the social contract when dealing with someone who doesn't feel bound by it. My favorite method is to hit them with a non sequitur. Say they ask who I'm planning to vote for. I answer by saying something like, "I love that new Beyoncé record. She sure is talented." That will either confuse them enough to shut them up and let you escape, or they'll follow your subject change and say something music. Do this enough, and they will start thinking of you as that weird and possibly slow neighbor that they just wave at now. By not interacting with them at all from the get-go, I could not care less what my neighbors do. In fact, I have no idea what any of them look like. Did they kill someone and bury them in their backyard? Are they male, female, married, have kids? Could I pick them out in a lineup if I had to? No idea. No interest in learning, and absolutely not. If someone in the FBI or just general police came knocking and asked me about my neighbors, my first reaction would be, "There are people living in the house." Then shrug. Great stuff in the comments below. They would help draw a simply boundary. Another thought though, the older I get, the more I realize I need to work on me. Being vulnerable and honest is hard, partly because of very real privacy safety issues, and partly because of a lack of trust. Hard to say where you're at with this neighbor, but maybe this is a good chance to reflect on yourself and where you want to be. Happy day, amigo. I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to talk about this. I'm sorry, but I'm not comfortable answering this question. Those responses are straightforward, and if they ask why, just say because I don't. You don't owe anybody an explanation as to why you're not answering personal questions that they want to ask you. Use your interpersonal skills to deflect, answer vaguely, make a joke, or change the subject. This really shouldn't be that difficult. I couldn't imagine being uncomfortable with a friend or neighbor knowing that I have the necessary skills to navigate a conversation. Make up shocking and repulsive stuff about yourself. Judge what kind of prejudice they may have and play to that. My neighbor asked why I was home all the time, and I told her it was because I was convicted of murder, and now nobody will hire me. She's not so curious now. You know, people with broken homes deal with this all the time. Just make a light-hearted comment that redirects the conversation and reveals nothing about your personal life. People, how was Thanksgiving? Me, I was so tired afterwards. And by the time I come back with a can of hands, I forget what the original question was, and I can have a myriad of excuses to ask them something else, or just call it quits on the conversation. You consider a personal question you don't want to answer. Like, is a normal question and you're making a big deal out of it, or does he want to know if you like hookers and cocaine in your free time? Why, yes, she did like it in Dabbit, so do I. We're swingers and having a party this weekend. How about you, your wife join us this weekend? Bring your kids too. There's fun for all. They'll never speak to you again. Learn to projectile vomit on command. Anytime they talk to you, just spew until they leave. It's considered a very unpleasant sound, so this should form a Pavlovian response of them feeling disgust whenever they see you. I had a co-worker who would do that. I gave him different answers every time. 15 years we worked together, and he still doesn't know how many kids I actually have, or when I got remarried, or even my middle name. Hey, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but these questions are getting a little personal, and I'm just not quite comfortable enough to answer them. How's the dog, by the way? Oh goodness me, what a personal question. Egads, what a strange thing to ask. My stars, why would you want to know that? The more traditional you sound, the better. I always use my dog as an excuse. If you don't have a dog, make up a cat. Welp. Reckon I ought to go feed, brush, put to bed the dog. She's getting restless. Beat them at their own game. Every time you see them, tell them sure is a hot one today. And start asking nosy, personal questions. Just give them really messed up answers. A lady aka pain in the ass lives next door to me. She thinks my fiancé is my cousin lol. When they get personal, just say, alright, I'll let you get back to it. Don't want to waste your time, works. Just say pass. Whenever they ask something personal, then just say pass. Again, when they ask you to explain yourself, start saying racist stuff. Can you believe people still think the Holocaust happened? They'll never talk to you again. Wish I had that instead of crackhead neighbors leaving trash presents on my porch and staring at my cameras. I always offer a thersum and state that I am an atheist, which is not true. Always shuts everything down. I've always just casually said, "Hey, that's kind of personal." When said with a smile, it usually works. This has it all. Surefire way to get it to stop. Just wear big headphones and make no eye contact and just blow it off like a real American. Neighbors are great humans to practice clear, concise communication and boundary setting. Learning to draw healthy boundaries is one of the best skills you can obtain in life. You peek through your curtains, and if you see them outside replan your day, listen, I have to run and take a wicked SHE. I'll speak to you later. Can anyone be my GF please? I will give anything you want. Fake phone call received and start walking away with a gotta go. Run if you see him. Repeat it a few times and he will understand. Ask some personal questions back, putting them on the defensive. I'd be tempted to make stuff up if they couldn't take a hint. I tell them, FBI are you? I laugh and change the subject. Just peel out your baby bird and say this is for you. I just ignore them and walk away like they don't exist. Fall in love with them. They probably gonna run away too. Excuse me, I got to take a shit real fast always works. The courts don't allow me to talk about that anymore.